I stand motionless in the falling snow outside my apartment building, the bitter December wind nipping at my cheeks. The cardboard box in my hands grows damp, snowflakes melting into the brown packaging. I can't tear my eyes away from the bold red label stamped across the front. Recipient refused. Return to sender. My fingers tremble as they trace the edge of the unopened gift wrap visible inside. 3 weeks of evenings spent crafting Christmas lights from my first professional paycheck as a designer. Hours of delicate work, each light representing a small piece of my heart sent home to Boulder. Even love, when unreciprocated, can be returned to sender, I whisper, my words vanishing into the swirling snow. The package feels heavier now than when I mailed it 2 weeks ago. I clutch it against my chest as memories rush forward, uninvited but persistent. Growing up in our middle-class Boulder home, the family roles were always crystal clear. Pearl was the sweet one, the angel who needed protection. I was the strong one, the one who didn't need attention. Dad, a retired electrical engineer, and Mom, who left teaching to focus on family, made sure those roles never blurred. I remember my 10th birthday, Mom scrambling to frost store-bought cupcakes an hour before my friends arrived while Dad hung a single paper streamer across the living room. Just 3 months earlier, Pearl's party had featured handcrafted invitations, a custom cake, and a backyard transformed into a fairy wonderland. Royalty doesn't mind keeping things simple, Mom had told the neighbor who asked about the difference. She's always been so independent. Christmas mornings tell the same story. Pearl's gifts spilling from under the tree while mine sat in a neat practical stack, new art supplies for her creative spirit, sensible clothes and school supplies for me. I shift the box in my arms, suddenly aware of the cold seeping through my jacket. The truth I've spent years denying rises to the surface. I'm desperately seeking validation disguised as independence. You're fine on your own, Royalty, Dad would say whenever I accomplished something without help. Not, I'm proud of you, or, well done, just confirmation that I required nothing from them. I swallow hard, the familiar knot forming in my throat. All these years of being told I was fine on my own created this self-sufficient exterior that everyone sees. But inside? Inside lives a woman who still craves the acknowledgement she never received. My pattern is clear now. Overgiving to earn love that was never freely given. Sending handmade gifts year after year despite minimal acknowledgement. Bearing the weight of always being fine when I wasn't. I looked down at the returned Christmas lights again. This was my first handcrafted gift, something beyond the usual store-bought items. 3 weeks of evenings spent designing and creating something uniquely meaningful. The note I tucked inside read, "Made with my hands, sent with my heart," and they refused it, didn't even open it. The hurt crashes over me in waves, but something else rises alongside it. Indignation. A spark of anger that feels foreign but somehow right. I walk slowly up the stairs to my modest apartment. Instead of tossing the package into the trash as I might have done before, I place it carefully on a shelf in my living room. A small decision, but it feels significant. I deserved better than this, I whisper to the empty room. My phone rings, cutting through the silence. Pearl's name flashes on the screen. I answer automatically, the way I always do. Royalty. Pearl's voice bubbles through the speaker, cheerful and oblivious. I'm so glad I caught you. I need your help with Christmas shopping. There's this adorable boutique downtown that has the perfect gifts, but I can't decide what to get for Dad. No mention of my returned package. Not even a hint that she knows about it. In the background, I hear Mom's voice. Ask if Royalty can send money for the new curtains while you're at it. Oh, and Mom wants to know if you can help with the new curtains for the living room. Pearl adds without missing a beat. The ones we saw at Restoration Hardware would be perfect, but you know how Dad is about spending money on decorating. No questions about my life. No mention of my Christmas plans. I look at the rejected package sitting on my shelf, then back at the phone. The word no forms in my mouth, unfamiliar and threatening to spill out. Instead, I hear myself say, "Yes, of course I'll help." Because that's what I do. That's who I am. The one who helps. The one who gives. The one who's always fine. But the box on my shelf tells a different story now. And someday, maybe my answer will too. 2 days later, my student ID swipes through the cafeteria time clock for the 3rd time today. Morning shift at the library, afternoon classes, and now evening service at the campus dining hall. The manager nods as I tie my apron, dark circles under my eyes matching his own. Another double, Torres? he asks, not really expecting an answer. I force a tired smile. Tuition doesn't pay itself. Unlike Pearl's tuition, which apparently pays itself just fine. Last weekend's visit home revealed her gleaming new Volkswagen parked in the driveway, the downtown Boulder apartment she casually mentioned over dinner, both parent-funded naturally. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I ignore it until break, when I check to find 3 missed calls from Pearl. I step outside into the crisp Colorado night, returning her call. Finally. Pearl answers on the first ring. I've been trying to reach you all day. Working, I say, leaning against the brick wall. What's up? Mom and Dad are taking me to Aspen this weekend. Can you send me some spending money? My account's a little low. The irony doesn't escape me. My bank account shows a negative balance, student loans accumulating interest while I work 3 jobs. Pearl's life flows debt-free, sustained by the same parents who told me I needed to learn financial independence. I get paid Friday, I say, calculating what I can spare after rent and groceries. I can send you something then. Pearl squeals with delight, as though I've offered her the world instead of the last remnants of my paycheck. Winter becomes spring, becomes summer. I send Christmas gifts home each year smaller than the lights they returned, but still thoughtfully chosen. A leather wallet for Dad, Mom's favorite perfume, a sketchbook of handmade paper for Pearl. Their acknowledgement arrives in January, 1 card, store-bought, signed, love from us and Pearl in my mother's handwriting. No personal note. No mention of my gifts. They're just busy, I tell myself, though the hollow feeling in my chest suggests otherwise. The pattern clarifies during my junior year when I collapse after a week of fever and stabbing pain. Emergency appendectomy. No insurance. We wish we could help, Mom says over the phone while I stare at the hospital bill. Things are tight right now. 2 weeks later, Pearl calls, bubbling with excitement about her upcoming European vacation London, Paris, Rome, parent-funded. The realization settles like concrete in my stomach. My family sees me as a resource, not a daughter or sister. Pearl perfects her timing over the years. Her calls for small loans or tiny favors always come the day after payday, as though she has access to my bank statements. Her voice shifts into a delicate, almost childlike register when she needs something the fragility, a calculated weapon. You know, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, she whispers, her tone suggesting imminent collapse if I refuse. Mother reinforces the hierarchy with practiced precision. Family is everything. Royalty. She reminds me during our monthly calls. And you're the responsible one. We all have our roles. The stakes become clear. My financial and emotional well-being against their expectations. The $8,000 loan changes everything. Pearl calls on a Tuesday evening, voice brimming with unusual enthusiasm. I've found the perfect opportunity, she gushes. A nail salon for sale in the downtown shopping center. The owner's retiring and willing to sell at half the market value. Her business plan sounds surprisingly solid. Equipment included. Established clientele. 6-month projected return on investment. I'll pay you back with interest within 6 months, she promises. This could be our thing together, sisters in business. Hope flutters in my chest, the possibility that this exchange might finally change our relationship. An investment in both a business and a better connection with my sister. I empty my savings account the next morning. 6 months pass without mention of repayment or the salon's progress. When I finally gather the courage to ask during a holiday visit home, Pearl excuses herself to take a phone call. Mother slides into her vacant seat, patting my hand with practiced sympathy. The words hit like a physical blow. There will be no repayment. There never was going to be. I excuse myself to the bathroom, locking the door before the tears come. The crushing realization spreads through my body. They see me as a resource, not a daughter. Back at work later that week, Marcus notices my distraction during our design team meeting. He finds me later in the break room, stirring sugar into cold coffee. You okay? You've checked your phone 6 times in the last hour. I show him the latest text from Pearl, another request for, just a small loan. Marcus studies the message, then looks me square in the eyes. They treat you like an ATM, not a sister. His bluntness startles me, but something in his words resonates with painful clarity. The next week, my college friend Rachel suggests coffee. She listens to my halting explanation of family dynamics, then says with gentle directness, "Have you considered therapy for these family boundary issues?" 3 days later, I sit in a modestly furnished office, facing a therapist with kind eyes and a notepad. They just expect me to give and give. I admit, the words painful in their honesty, and I always do. The therapist nods, watching me carefully. What if, she asks, setting down her pen, you said no next time? The question hangs in the air like a revelation. 2 weeks later, Pearl calls about expanding the salon business. She needs another $5,000 for new equipment. My newfound clarity feels simultaneously empowering and terrifying. I can't, I say, the words unfamiliar on my tongue. I don't have it to give. The silence stretches between us before Pearl's voice returns, sharper than before. You've always been so selfish with your money. Mother's guilt campaign begins within hours. Aunts and uncles call throughout the week, each conversation a variation on the theme. Why are you abandoning your sister? I maintain my boundary despite the pressure, repeating the same calm response. I've already invested in the business. I can't contribute more right now. The calls eventually stop. Family gatherings become exercises in polite distance. I'm cast as the villain for the simple act of self-protection. My small victory carries a heavy emotional toll, the family rejection a constant ache beneath my professional smile. Yet something has shifted, a quiet recognition that I deserve better than this. The realization doesn't eliminate the pain, but it does illuminate a possible path forward. I look at myself in the bathroom mirror at work, studying the face of a woman who has begun to recognize her own worth. The journey ahead looks daunting, but for the first time, I believe I might survive it. 2 days later, Instagram notification stings more than it should. Pearl's latest post, a candid of her staring wistfully out a coffee shop window, sits beneath a paragraph lamenting how some people get so wrapped up in careers they forget what matters. 3 mutual friends have already commented with heart emojis and supportive messages. I close the app and set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. This is the 5th passive-aggressive post this month, each one painting me as cold and career-obsessed while positioning Pearl as the wounded party. My phone rings. Mom. Again. I check the time: Tuesday, 7:15 p.m., right on schedule. Hi, Mom, I answer, tension already tightening my shoulders. Royalty. Her voice carries that familiar weight of disappointment. Pearl showed me what you said about not being able to help with her business expansion. I press my fingers against my temple. I didn't say I couldn't help. I said I wouldn't loan her more money when she hasn't repaid the first loan. Family doesn't keep ledgers, Mom says, the words practiced and sharp. Your sister has 2 children to feed. What do you have? A fancy apartment and designer clothes? The accusations continue for 23 minutes. I know because I watch the call timer tick upward while making appropriate sounds of acknowledgement. When she finally pauses, I hear Dad's voice in the background. Is that royalty? Let me talk to her. The phone rustles as it changes hands. Royalty. Dad's voice is gruff, unused. He calls so rarely that hearing him causes me to straighten instinctively. Your mother's disappointed in you. We all are. The words land like stones. Not because they're surprising, but because they're so familiar. I understand, I say, the same response I've given for years. After the call ends, I sit motionless at my kitchen table. My inbox contains an email I've been afraid to open for 3 days. The subject line reads, Offer, Senior Designer Position, Hayworth Design Group, Los Angeles. I click it open and read it again. Prestigious firm, creative freedom, salary increase, relocation stipend, a chance to work with clients who appreciate modern vintage fusion design. 2,000 miles from Boulder. I type 2 words. I accept. Later, after I missed many family gatherings, Thanksgiving came. The Thanksgiving table stretches before me, laden with traditional dishes. Aunt Maggie passes the cranberry sauce while Uncle Robert carves the turkey. Normal holiday scenes except for the undercurrent of tension whenever someone addresses me. Royalty's looking tired these days. Aunt Maggie says to Mom instead of to me. Must be working too hard. Always was career-focused, Mom replies with a tight smile. Not everyone prioritizes family. I take a deliberate bite of mashed potatoes, maintaining eye contact with Mom. 3 more hours until I can leave. Pearl approaches as I'm helping clear dishes. I hate asking, but the salon needs new styling chairs. Her voice drops to a whisper. Just a small loan. 5,000? I'll pay you back by Christmas. I can't, Pearl, I say quietly. I'm sorry. Her face transforms instantly. Tears fill her eyes as her lower lip trembles. "But I need this," she says, voice rising. "How can you be so selfish?" Conversations around us halt. All eyes turn our way. Some people, Pearl says loudly enough for everyone to hear, care more about money than family. The silence that follows is deafening. Dad clears his throat. "Royalty, perhaps you should reconsider." I place the stack of plates carefully on the counter and walk to the coat closet. No one follows me to the door. 3 weeks later, I sign a lease on a Silver Lake apartment in Los Angeles. The realtor hands me the keys, her smile bright against her burgundy lipstick. "Congratulations, Miss Torres. Welcome to your new home." I walk through empty rooms that smell of fresh paint and possibility. The afternoon light streams through west-facing windows, casting golden rectangles across hardwood floors. For the first time in months, I breathe fully, without the tightness in my chest that's become my constant companion. That evening, I compose an email to my family, rather than calling. I inform them of my move, my new job, my decision to start fresh. The words come easily now, factual and calm. I click send before I can second-guess myself. Then I silence my phone. The next weeks pass in a blur of packing, organizing, and planning. I discover joy in selecting furniture that reflects my aesthetic: warm woods, textured fabrics, vintage pieces mixed with modern lines. Each purchase feels like a declaration. This space is mine. These choices are mine. No one else's opinion matters here. I don't hear the knocking at first, too focused on bubble wrapping a collection of ceramic vases. When it becomes insistent, I open the door to find Mom standing in my hallway, face flushed with what could be anger or the exertion of climbing 3 flights of stairs. "You're moving to California?" she demands, pushing past me into the apartment. "Without discussing it with your family first?" I close the door slowly. I accepted a job offer. It's an excellent opportunity. "Opportunity?" She spits the word. "You're abandoning us. How could you be so selfish?" The script is familiar, but something has changed. The words don't land the way they used to. Instead, they hover in the air between us, stripped of their power. "I'm not abandoning anyone," I say calmly. "I'm building my own life." Mom's phone rings. She answers immediately when she sees the caller ID. "Pearl?" "Yes, I'm with her now." I can hear Pearl's voice through the speaker. "We needed you here, Royalty. Dad's blood pressure is up again. The doctor says stress is a factor." The implication is clear. My decisions affect Dad's health. My absence causes pain. My independence is selfish. I watch Mom's face as she listens to Pearl, the way her expression shifts between concern and satisfaction. She's simultaneously worried about Dad and pleased to have another weapon to use against me. "I need to build my own life," I repeat when she ends the call. Mom's eyes narrow. "If you leave, don't expect us to welcome you back." The statement is meant to terrify me, to bring me to my knees with the threat of family rejection. Instead, it clarifies everything. "I've never felt truly welcomed anyway," I say, the words emerging without bitterness, simple and true. Mom leaves without another word. I return to packing, hands steady. Marcus arrives at 6 the next morning to help load the moving truck, despite the early hour and freezing temperatures. He brings coffee and bagels, his breath visible in the cold air. "You're really doing this," he says, lifting a box labeled kitchen. "I'm really doing this," I confirm. Rachel calls as we're finishing loading. "Check the glove compartment when you get in the truck," she instructs. "Don't peek until you're on the road. Not $10 the marmot." I find her care package 3 hours later at a gas station in Nebraska. Homemade cookies, a playlist titled Freedom Sounds, and a card that reads simply, "Proud of you." The drive to Los Angeles takes 4 days. With each mile, the invisible tether connecting me to Boulder loosens. My new colleagues welcome me with genuine interest in my design ideas. My first client, an entertainment lawyer redecorating her home office, listens attentively when I present concepts, never questioning my worth or expertise. My therapy sessions continue via video, now focused on building healthy boundaries rather than merely surviving their absence. Doctor. Mercer's face fills my laptop screen each Wednesday evening. "How does it feel to be valued professionally?" she asks during our 3rd remote session. "Foreign," I admit, "but good, really good." The winter brings changes beyond geography. I change my phone number without providing the new one to my family. I set up email filters that direct their messages to a folder I check only when I feel centered and strong. My Christmas card is simple this year, a photo of my new apartment with a brief note of well wishes. No gifts, no desperate attempts to win approval. Instead of flying home, I host a small dinner party. New colleagues and neighbors fill my dining room with laughter. The contrast to Thanksgiving couldn't be more stark. Later, alone in my living room, I watch the lights of Los Angeles through my window. My phone sits silent beside me. No frantic calls, no guilt-inducing texts. Their opinion of me is not my reality, I whisper to the empty room. On my desk sits a portfolio of designs, the beginning of Casa Row, my aesthetic emerging from the shadows of family expectations. Beside it, a spreadsheet documenting every loan to Pearl, evidence of boundaries crossed and lessons learned. My bank account grows steadily, no longer depleted by family emergencies and Pearl's business ventures. My calendar fills with client meetings rather than obligation-driven visits home. Something shifts inside me, a recognition that the path forward requires preparation. One day, they'll try to pull me back into old patterns. When that day comes, I'll be ready. Not with anger or resentment, but with clarity and strength. The night before Christmas, I sit cross-legged on my new sofa, sipping tea from a handmade ceramic mug. Outside, palm trees sway against a sky, nothing like boulders. Inside, every object reflects choices made freely, spaces created intentionally. For the first time in my life, silence feels like peace instead of punishment. I smooth my hand over the polished concrete countertop in my Silver Lake apartment, admiring how the morning light plays across its surface. 3 years in Los Angeles have transformed not just my surroundings but my entire being. The woman who once sent handcrafted Christmas lights to an uncaring family now runs Casa Row, a design firm whose client waitlist stretches months ahead. My phone buzzes with an email notification from Architectural Digest. The profile they ran last month, Royalty Torres, Warmth with Boundaries, continues generating client inquiries. The irony of that title doesn't escape me. Personal style reflects personal journey, I'd told the interviewer when she asked about my aesthetic philosophy. What I didn't say was how each carefully placed boundary in my designs echoed the ones I'd finally established in my life. The last debt payment cleared 2 weeks ago. Student loans, credit cards, all vanished. My investment portfolio grows steadily, a financial fortress where once stood only obligation. Dr. Levine says financial security was my first step toward emotional security, though the journey through weekly therapy sessions hasn't always been linear. I sip my coffee, savoring the bitter warmth. 3 years of peace, 3 years of building something that belongs solely to me. Until yesterday. The Christmas card sits on my kitchen island, its handmade paper and elegant calligraphy unmistakably my mother's. No demands, no guilt trips, just holiday wishes and a family photo. Mom, Dad, and Pearl smiling before a decorated tree, a reminder of connection that arrives precisely when the holidays have begun to make my apartment feel a little too quiet. My mother always did have impeccable timing. The card arrived 2 days after Pearl's wedding invitation. Families should be together for milestone moments, read the handwritten note inside. The timing feels calculated rather than coincidental. I run my finger along the edge of my mother's card. 3 years ago, this simple gesture would have sent me spiraling into guilt and doubt. Today, it merely registers as what it is, a strategic opening move. My phone chimes with a text from my Aunt Susan. "Sweetie, don't you think it's time to reconcile? Families shouldn't stay apart this long." Then another from a mutual friend in Boulder. "Ran into your mom at the grocery store. She misses you terribly. Maybe for Christmas?" The pattern emerges with crystal clarity. Not direct confrontation, but a gentle surrounding, pressure applied from all sides. That evening, I sink into the armchair across from Dr. Levine, the now familiar office wrapping around me like a protective cocoon. They've made contact. I tell her, hands steady in my lap. Multiple approaches, all within days of each other. Dr. Levine nods, her silver-framed glasses catching the light. And how does that feel? 3 years ago, I would have struggled to name the emotion. Today, I recognize it immediately. Fear, I admit, but different from before. Not panic, more like apprehension, waiting for the other shoe to drop. "That's significant progress," she says. "Your body used to respond to family contact with physical symptoms, racing heart, insomnia. Their tactics don't work anymore," I realize aloud. The guilt trips, the expectation that I'll drop everything. I see them for what they are now. She smiles. Healing isn't linear, royalty. There may still be moments when old patterns feel tempting, especially around the holidays. I nod, feeling the truth of her words. I sent a response to the wedding invitation yesterday. Brief, professional. Regrets that I can't attend, but I included a small gift certificate to that homeware store Pearl loves. And the Christmas card? Nothing yet. I'm allowing myself time to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Dr. Levine leans forward. Remember, you're not the villain in this story, royalty. You're the survivor. You've built boundaries because they were necessary, not because you're cold or unfeeling. I let her words settle into the quiet place inside me that still sometimes whispers otherwise. The escalation arrives precisely when I expect it. First comes Pearl's frantic text message about a honeymoon emergency car rental troubles in Hawaii, immediate funds needed. Submit your receipts when you return, and I'll see if the travel insurance I recommended covers it. I respond, my fingers steady on the keyboard. 3 years ago, I would have wired money immediately. 2 days later, Mom calls. My aunt answers instead, then urgently contacts me. Your mother's blood pressure spiked dangerously. She's at Boulder General for observation. She's asking for you. Please let her know I hope she feels better soon. I reply after confirming through a nurse friend that Mom was indeed admitted, but for routine monitoring rather than an emergency. Dad's call comes next, the first direct communication in years. His voice, gruff and unfamiliar, fills my kitchen as I prepare dinner. Royalty, this family is falling apart without you. Your mother's health, Pearl's struggling marriage. You've built your fancy career while we've been suffering. The accusation hangs between us. 3 years ago, those words would have landed like physical blows. Tonight they slide off me like water. I'm sorry to hear everyone's having difficulties, Dad. How are you doing personally? My simple question focusing on him as an individual, rather than the family collective, throws him off balance. He stumbles through a response, then quickly returns to his prepared script about family obligation. After we hang up, I sit at my kitchen island, breathing deeply. The coordinated campaign is transparent now. Each approach suggesting my success came at their expense. Each message designed to pull me back into the role of family supporter. Even Pearl's new husband joins the effort, leaving a voicemail about an exciting investment opportunity that would benefit everyone in the family. I respond with a simple email. Please submit any business proposals through the official Casa Row channels. All investment opportunities undergo standard due diligence procedures. Casa. The professional boundary feels like a shield rather than a sword. I'm not punishing them. I'm simply protecting what I've built. My aunt calls a week later. I don't understand you anymore, royalty. Your mother needed comfort, and you sent a text message? What happened to the girl who always put family first? She learned that family goes both ways. I answer quietly. I care about all of you, but caring doesn't mean sacrificing my well-being. Pearl says you've gotten cold since moving to California. Pearl says many things, I reply, surprised by my own calm. I've simply learned that love without boundaries isn't sustainable. The silence stretches between us until my aunt sighs. Your mother admitted something yesterday, she said. Royalty doesn't need us anymore. She sounded almost defeated. The words should hurt. Instead, they confirm what I've suspected. Their distress isn't about missing me, it's about missing what I provided. Christmas approaches with a strange new peace. My boundaries remain steady, despite the escalating attempts. Pearl's messages grow increasingly desperate, sprinkled with phrases like selfish and abandoned family. Dad surprises me with a brief email acknowledging my latest design award, a grudging recognition of my professional success. More revealing is the conversation Pearl's husband has with Marcus when they happen to meet during a business trip to Los Angeles. I always thought royalty was the problem. He confesses over drinks, the way they talked about her. But when she turned down our investment pitch, I started wondering if I'm missing something. Pearl's never satisfied, no matter what anyone does for her. The cracks in their narrative widen as my strength holds steady. I've changed, yes, but the change isn't coldness. It's clarity. The family that once labeled me the strong one now struggles to comprehend strength that doesn't serve their interests. As December deepens, I hang simple white lights around my apartment windows, not as a plea for approval but as a celebration of light returning after darkness. The reflection in the glass shows a woman standing tall, neither burdened nor bitter. When my phone lights up with Pearl's name, I answer without dread. "Merry Christmas, Pearl," I say, my voice steady. 3 years ago, I sent handcrafted lights that returned unwanted to my doorstep. Today, I offer only what I can give freely: courtesy without surrender, connection without submission. The tables have turned. And I am still standing. The email arrives early December, its timing calculated exactly 3 weeks before Christmas. I stare at my mother's name in my inbox, fingers hovering over the delete button before curiosity wins. "We want to redecorate for Christmas this year. Who better than our talented designer? Pearl says your work is all over those fancy magazines now. We need someone with your eye for detail. Pearl's second baby is coming in February, you know. You wouldn't want to miss Christmas with both grandkids, would you? Ellie asks about her aunt sometimes." I'm Sav. Ellie asks about her aunt sometimes. I set my coffee down, the familiar pressure building behind my eyes. 5 years of carefully constructed boundaries, and they still think I'll drop everything for a hint of family access. The implicit exchange is clear. My professional services for a seat at their Christmas table. My phone buzzes. Aunt Lydia's number. "Royalty, honey, it's been too long," she says, voice dripping with practiced concern. "Christmas is about family. Don't you think it's time to make peace for the holidays?" "I appreciate your call, Aunt Lydia," I reply, keeping my voice steady. But my schedule is fully booked through January. Set. Your mother is heartbroken. We all are. Before I can respond, a text notification appears. Uncle Robert, then Cousin Samantha. The coordinated campaign has begun. Later that evening, Pearl's voicemail arrives, her voice breaking in all the right places. "The kids don't even know their aunt. Ellie asks Santa to meet you for Christmas." How do I explain that her aunt doesn't want to see her? I delete the message, but the weight of it lingers. Over the next week, the pressure mounts. Family friends call with gentle encouragement to reconcile for the holidays. Mother's church friends mention Christian forgiveness. Pearl's Instagram fills with nostalgic family photos captioned with pointed remarks about absent family members during the holidays. Then comes the email I never expected from Dad. "Royalty, this punishment has gone on long enough. Your mother misses you. We all do. Whatever grievances you're holding on to, isn't family worth more?" I close my laptop and walk to the window of my Silver Lake apartment. Los Angeles lights shimmer below, so different from Boulder's winter landscape. I've built a life here, brick by brick, client by client. A life where my worth isn't measured by what I can give to others. My assistant's voice breaks through my thoughts. "Royalty? I have an interesting inquiry I think you should see." The email she forwards is from Elena R., requesting design services for a Colorado mountain home. The address stops my heart, my parents' house. "Send me the contract they signed," I say quietly. Minutes later, the electronic signature appears on my screen. Pearl Reyes. I scan the detailed requirements, recognizing my mother's preferences woven throughout the same rustic modern aesthetic she described in her email. Down to the family heirloom display she mentioned wanting for Pearl's childhood keepsakes. 5 years of therapy has given me clarity. This isn't love. It's not even family. It's manipulation dressed as reconnection. I'm drafting a response when my phone rings an unknown Colorado number. I nearly ignore it, but something makes me answer. "Hello?" A small voice trembles across the line. "Aunt Royalty? This is Ellie, Mommy Pearl's daughter." My body freezes before my half-decorated Christmas tree, lights twinkling against the window. The child is 5 now, a fact I know from distant social media glimpses and family updates filtered through mutual acquaintances. "Hello, Ellie." I manage, my professional calm abandoning me. "Mommy said you don't like us. Is that true? Is that why you never come see us?" The question lands like a physical blow. I close my eyes, caught in the ethical tornado between honesty and protecting an innocent child from adult complexities. "No, sweetheart," I say softly. "That's not true." "Then why don't you ever come home?" I sink onto my couch, searching for words a child could understand. Sometimes grown-ups need time apart to figure things out. It doesn't mean I don't care about you. "I'm learning to draw houses," she offers suddenly. "Mommy says you make beautiful houses for people." "I do. I'd love to see your drawings sometime." "Really?" The hope in her voice is genuine, untainted by adult manipulation. "Really. And I'm going to send you something special for Christmas. Okay? Just for you." After a few more minutes of surprisingly sweet conversation about her favorite colors and animals, I end the call with genuine care, not the manufactured emotion her mother likely expected this conversation to extract. I sit in silence for exactly 5 minutes, then open my laptop. My response to Lena R is brief and professional. I don't take projects from clients using false identities, wishing the family a peaceful holiday. Then I create a new email addressed to my entire family. I attach screenshots of my mother's original design request, the fake client inquiry, and Pearl's signature. My message is simple. My design services are not available to family. Deception is not the foundation for reconciliation. Please respect my professional boundaries, as you would any other designers. No accusations. No emotional language. Just facts and boundaries. For Ellie, I select a small kaleidoscope from my collection, a beautiful one that transforms ordinary light into something magical when you look at things differently. I wrap it carefully and address it without a return label. Inside, I tuck a simple note. From someone who always hopes you'll be loved the right way. The responses come quickly. Mother's frantic voicemail. Pearl's angry text. How dare you embarrass us like this, after everything we've done for you? I let them all go to voicemail, to message archives, to the place where their power over me used to live. This is my victory not through vengeance but through values. Not through angry confrontation but through the power of chosen response over reactive engagement. The final boundary stands established. Respect as prerequisite for relationship. I place my phone on silent and return to decorating my tree, each ornament representing a piece of the life I've built, the career, the friendships. The peace that comes with knowing my worth doesn't depend on their recognition. Outside my window, Los Angeles continues to sparkle, a constellation of lights forming new patterns, new possibilities. In 3 weeks, this apartment will host friends who see me clearly. We'll share food and laughter and genuine connection. And somewhere in Boulder, a little girl will open a kaleidoscope and discover that sometimes, things look different when you hold them to the light. I arrange the final amber candle on my Silver Lake dining table, its warm glow catching the hammered copper chargers beneath handmade stoneware plates. Christmas Eve in Los Angeles feels nothing like Boulder's snowy evenings, yet somehow feels more like Christmas than any I've experienced before. The table set for 8 gleams under pendant lights I designed myself, colleagues, neighbors, friends, who've become more than categories now. Marcus adjusts a centerpiece of eucalyptus and white roses, while Rachel arranges her grandmother's stuffing recipe alongside my calabacitas and Rachel's grandmother's tamales. Traditional flavors mixing with California sensibilities, like my life now. Perfect, I whisper, surveying the space that once echoed with anxious phone calls and trembling hands. Tonight it radiates security instead, a home built on choice rather than obligation. My gaze drifts to the mantel where a small wrapped package sits, displayed in a shadow box. The Christmas lights, returned unopened 3 years ago. What once felt like a wound, now serves as art, a reminder of how far I've traveled. Same situation holidays without biological family, but an entirely different outcome. When everyone has arrived, I raise my glass. To finding family in unexpected places, I say, my voice steady with peaceful acknowledgement. No longer seeking approval, but giving genuine appreciation instead. And to boundaries, adds Rachel with a wink. Beautiful, healthy, necessary boundaries. Everyone laughs, but the recognition runs deep. These people know my story. They've witnessed my journey. The conversation flows through dinner, rich with actual interest rather than obligation. I notice my own ease in this gathering, no longer performing the role of the strong one by default, but comfortably expressing both strength and vulnerability as each moment requires. Remember when you thought asking for help with that Henderson project meant you were failing? Marcus says, refilling my glass. I nod, smiling at the memory. Took me forever to recognize that needing support isn't weakness. And now you're mentoring that kid from UCLA? Says Jenna from my design team. Sophia, I correct. Her family background isn't unlike mine. Sometimes knowing someone else made it through similar waters makes all the difference. Later, as we move to the living room for dessert, I glance at my journal on the side table. This morning's entry still fresh. Therapist says maintaining boundaries for 5 years deserves celebration. Maybe the real gift was learning my worth wasn't measured by family validation. Marcus raises his glass again. To royalty, who showed us all how to reign. Rachel's smile across the room carries the weight of full witness. She's been there from the beginning. When I couldn't distinguish between giving from choice and giving from obligation. My colleagues lift their glasses too, people who respect both my boundaries and talent equally. The warmth of freely given appreciation wraps around me. Jennifer, my neighbor from across the hall, touches my arm. That advice you gave me about my parents' holiday guilt trip saved my sanity? She whispers. First Christmas I haven't spent in tears. I squeeze her hand. Family is earned, not just born, I tell her. You're not cold for having requirements. After dessert, I slip away briefly, returning with a small gift. For you, I say, handing Jennifer a box containing handcrafted string lights similar to those on my mantle. Her eyes question me. Some lights aren't meant to be returned, I explain quietly. They're meant to guide us home to ourselves. Hours later, after goodbyes and promises to meet again soon, I stand alone beside my Christmas tree. The doorbell rings unexpectedly. A delivery, an envelope with my mother's handwriting. I open it slowly. A simple card with subdued tone. No demands or manipulation. Just holiday wishes. In the past, this would have unraveled me. Tonight, I simply place it on the mantle without emotional turmoil. A peaceful acknowledgement of connection without surrendering boundaries. I move to the window, watching Los Angeles lights twinkling below. My phone lights up with a text from Ellie, Pearl's daughter. Thank you for my special gift, Aunt Royalty. A small opening for relationship on healthy terms, perhaps. Not the dramatic reconciliation Pearl would script, but something authentic instead. My journal lies open on the side table. I pick up my pen and write the final entry of the year. This year, I finally have a family one I chose myself. Silence isn't coldness, it's a boundary built by someone who once cared too much. And Christmas doesn't need a crowd, it only needs the right people.